Hello, coin collectors, and welcome to DC Coin World International Coin Channel. And here we are with the 1984 half penny story. In 1984, December 31st, 1984, the Royal Mint in the United Kingdom said, look, the half penny is not worth anything anymore. And they told the banks to send them back all their half pennies. So in 1984, the banks sent most of those half pennies back. So even though they made a lot of half pennies, in 1982 they made 191 million of them, many of those half pennies were taken back and melted down to make the coins after 1984. So what's the story on these? Well, if we look at the very center, we see a couple of half pennies, and then if we look around the outside, we see that the half penny has indeed been around for a long time. Let's take a look at some of them. Now this one here is a pretty famous one. It's a so-called bunhead version of the half penny. And those of you who know the bunhead version know that this, of course, is Queen Victoria. And so this half penny has been around since Queen Victoria, and what's the year on there? 1884. So in 1884, Britain had a half penny, and there is Britannia on the back with her shield. And some people say, well, what's the hole in there? And the hole in there is somebody made a necklace of these, and people used to do that in the old days. They would kind of make them into necklaces, both as keepsakes and in case they ever ran out of money. But of course, a half penny now won't buy you much. So this is the bunhead version. We'll start with that one. Next, there's another Queen Victoria, and this is the so-called Dowager version. And you see that by this time we have Ind Imp here, or the Imperator or Imperatrix of India. So by this time, of course, India was part of the United Kingdom, or Great Britain, as we called it back then, as they called it back then. And there's another half penny, and this is a little bit better. And again, this one has the hole in it. You can see that these were from the same necklace. Further on, we have another half penny here, and there's Britannia on the back. And look who this is, George V, the grandfather of Queen Elizabeth. And George V, Omni Rex, King of all Britons, and of course Imperator of India. And then next we have George VI. So we don't have them all here. We're just kind of going through a few until we can get to 1984. And George VI, Queen Elizabeth's father, King of all Britons, Imperator of India. And of course in 1984 this coin changed. This is in 1982. And we know this is Thomas Humphrey Paget. We can see the HP here on the old style half penny coins. And these are big coins. If you saw up front, you saw that this is the newer half penny, and you can see the huge size difference. Next up, we have, of course, one of my favorite ones. And I say this every time I see this, and it's still my favorite every time I do see it. And that's the Queen Elizabeth I half penny. Now, they did put one out in 1953, but this is the 1954 version, and I brought that up because in 1954 they took off Queen of all Britons. And so there it is, the 1954 version of the half penny. Now, when they moved to decimalization, they decided that they would make keep the half penny, but make it smaller. So the first question is, why would they even keep the half penny? Because it wasn't much in use. But I'll tell you what, in 1971, when they moved to decimalization, they said, okay, we have a 6-pence coin, and under decimalization, the 6-pence is going to be worth 5 new pence. And if we want to break this in half, why don't we throw in a half penny? And that's what we have here, the half penny. But this isn't the one. Guess what? This one is. And why do I know this is the one and not this one? Because when they put out the decimalization, they wanted to make sure that the half pennies weren't confused with the old half pennies, and so they put the word new on them. So this is a half new penny. And this is of course, the back of it. It says new, N-E-W, penny. And we have a crown here, and that's the crown of Henry VI, the founder of the House of Tudor. Now, the half penny only had one front design on it the whole time it was made after decimalization, and that was this portrait here, the so-called Arnold Machen second portrait of Queen Elizabeth. They did not put any other portraits on the halfpenny. Now this is the 1980. So as in 1971 they came out with the half new penny. In 1980 they were winding down the half new penny because they were going to change it over to the half penny again. And so in 1980 they made 202 million of these. This is one that's never going to be rare. If you have the 1980 half penny with the Arnold Machen second portrait with Queen Elizabeth II, it's not going to be worth much. It's probably going to be worth about 15 to 50 cents. However, we should talk again about how many there were around. So I say they made 203 million of these, 202 plus million, but when they demonetized these in 1984, the banks sent them all back to be melted down. So there aren't as many as you would think. But again, it's a small coin, and you can see by looking at it, perhaps, that it's a bronze coin, weighs 1.78 grams, 17.14 millimeters in diameter, and 1.07 millimeters in thickness. And again, this coin, the half new penny, was replaced by the half penny. So let's put a look and see how they did that. So they brought Christopher Ironside, who was the engraver of the back of the half penny or half new penny, back in and said, can you switch the new with the half? And you see it's a slightly smaller typeface, but it has all the rest of the same things on it. The half, see the half here is the same as the half on the old new penny, and it's all kind of centered like that. So what he did was really just tried to change the wording up here from new penny to half penny. Now, why they did this I'm still not sure why they went from the half new penny to the half penny, because in 1980 they stopped using the 6-pence coin. So, but they decided, the Royal Mint really said, look, we want to keep the half penny anyway, and they fought and fought and fought to keep it. One of the biggest problems with the half penny by 1984 or 1983 was that it cost way more to make than it was worth. And so they finally in 1984 said, look, we're going to take them all back. We're going to melt as many down as we can. People tried to keep them, and they did. Now, these are small coins, again, as I was saying. Look at them compared to the old half penny. And so plenty of people found these in their couches or in their rocking chairs or in their ottomans. And so there's plenty of these around too. This is a 1982 version, and again, you can see it has the pearled outer layer here. Elizabeth II, D.G. Reg, by the grace of God, Queen and Defender of the Faith, 1982. And this, you're kind of probably wondering why I have the 1982 here instead of the 1984, and that's because they didn't make any for general circulation in 1984 or 1983. In 1983, they made a few, 7.6 million for regular circulation, and those are great ones. So if you can find one, find the 83. And this is the 82, of which they made 191 million. So there were plenty of these around. People stopped using them just 2 years later, and the Royal Mint tried to take as many of them as they could back to remelt them. Now again, the Arnold Machen second portrait stayed on all of the half pennies after decimalization. We can see that here. And of course, in that one, she's wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. We can see the 2 points up here. And we can see that this portrait is the same as this one, even though it looks a little more worn. They didn't change the front of these half new pennies or decimalized or decimalization half pennies. They never changed the front of those. This went from 1971 till 1984 with the same image, even though they changed the image on the other coins. All right, well, that's all we have today. Thanks for joining the DC Coin World International Coin Channel. We'd love to have you subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and leave any comments you might have in the comments section. Have a great day.